Welcome to Follow Your Joy podcast, where intuition is the doorway to your elevated creativity, more joy, and prosperity. I'm your host, Marla Diane, and I've been living an intuitive life for decades as a creative. That translates to transforming creative entrepreneurs' lives for over 27 years through two businesses as a business strategist and a life designer. And prior to that, an entertainment publicist and talent manager. Follow Your Joy is an entrepreneurial resource for creatives sharing their challenge to victory stories through the lens of listening to their intuition. It's time to make joy your inner GPS for life and business decisions rather than lean on your logic and reason first. You'll not only be following what is most authentic for you, but you will live the beautiful life meant just for you. Want to learn how to access, trust, or up-level your intuition? Join me in the conversation to find out how. All right. Hey, hello, creatives. How is your fall season coming? Are you excited about the end of the year and ending on a positive note? Well, hopefully today's episode is going to help you with that. Yeah. So what have you noticed about yourself in how you go after your dreams, your desires, your goals? Is it from a hurried place? Logical, practical, functional, aggressive? Right? Or is it in more of a trusting, leaning back, kind of receiving, intuitive, creative, and taking inspired action type of approach? Well, my guest today, who is a very dear friend and recent client, is a beautiful example of a high-achieving, successful, empathetic, driven woman entrepreneur who's striving for operating more often in that trusting, leaning back, receiving, intuitive, creative, and taking inspired action mode. See, Dinna Voges, president and CEO of Dinna.io, is surrounded mostly by men all day and serving them. She helps ambitious early stage technology companies build world-class teams by finding and attracting the right talent for their what is called their crucial go-to-market roles, which is typically the customer-facing needs like sales engineering, customer success marketing, all that. And she works closely with her clients as a collaborative partner, as an expert in hiring strategies, and advisor and a sounding board. And I know you'll find it inspiring, especially for you, my woman entrepreneur, how she continues to develop her intuition, her feminine assets, and the blend, what I call, as you have heard on other episodes, the blend of the masculine feminine principles as she works and in her personal life, and especially with work, given her much needed logical driven, linear approach to running her business. So as she said to me, my business is very much in the doing, and I love it. However, my personal journey of self-development and reflection and how Marla and I connected is focused on being versus doing. Mm-hmm. And I continue my continual work in progress, that is, on the being, right, which brings so much joy into my life. And we met in 2021 via our mentor, while during, I should say, a weekend retreat for women business owners. And we've developed a really terrific friendship since, as we hang out every month on Zoom calls and we kind of catch up with our lives and we do weekend fun getaways. And we've built like I said, a very fun friendship as a result of that. And I had the privilege this year of coaching her in my cohort during about a 6-month time. So we're going to be talking all about that today. So let's welcome Miss Dinna to Follow Your Joy.
Thank you for having me here, Marla, and meeting your audience.
Absolutely. Yes, yes, and yes. All right. So let's start here. And that is, kind of share the highlights of your journey. In other words, what happened in your life that led you to obviously the tech industry and being this executive recruiting place?
Recruiting is a business that I stumbled into, and I've come to find that many people have. And it served me well for over 20 years. And it is a business. My clients are in cybersecurity and networking and other emerging technology spaces.
Mhm.
And I actually chose to focus on, as you referenced earlier, go-to-market customer-facing roles
Mhm.
because I find I relate with them well. They're more outgoing and connecting and energetic sort of people. And I just found that I feed on that. And it's just a passion to it's really a passion to find the perfect match or the best match. I'm not sure there's anything such as perfect. And, connecting people has really been something that over time I've just absolutely grown to just love and to see the client, which is the hiring company, and the candidate thrilled and a great match. We could say I'm a professional corporate matchmaker for companies.
Mhm. Okay.
And there's never a dull moment in my work.
Yeah.
We always have change going on in technology,
Mhm.
which is great. And dealing with people at all different levels. Most of these are people who've been around in their careers for many years versus entry level.
Yeah.
Um, you get to know people across different parts of the country.
Mhm.
Sometimes I'm global as well, but different parts of the country. We're different in California than we are in New York, and we're different, in Chicago and Indiana than they are in Texas,
Mhm.
But at the end of the day, we're all humans on this experience together.
Not the truth. Yeah. Um, so, okay, what was it though in your journey? I mean, what got you to this space? What was happening for you 20 years ago that you went, I want to do this?
It's a fascinating long story. I'll try to just do the highlight reel, if
Okay.
you will.
Okay.
When I got out of college, I knew I always wanted to do sales. Um, I did all sorts of sales when I was in college. I did retail sales, even did, different multi-level marketing sales. I did all sorts of things. Um, and I sold gym memberships, and I was a trainer in a gym as well. So we knew that I like to be in front of people. And I got a job actually at one point in college because I was so persistent. The person said, I'm hiring you because you are so tenacious and you'll finally leave me alone if we hire you. And that wasn't a sales job, but it was like, okay. So I'm looking for work, when I'm out of college, and you know, nothing was coming up. And making a long story short story, what would become my husband, who's now my ex-husband,
Mhm.
kind of got me into the business. But the funny story is I was in retail looking for work while I worked, and he didn't hire me the first time he had a chance. And he regretted, and he would say it for years, like, she was the best recruiter. I learned on my own. I really just learned. He'd tell me a little bit, and I would learn. And I just came to find I just loved connecting with people. That never changed. So many years ago, and here we are. And I'm very specialized in what I do. And what I mean more specifically is it is that focus, on go to market, on sales. I love it. Sales, marketing, customer success, which is kind of a newer term in the past number of years. It is both technical and non-technical, depending on the companies.
Okay.
The roles, often I fill roles that are technical, but I do not work with engineers because I like to engage with people.
Yeah. Well,
And they're not as engaging, and sometimes,
it's true.
it's okay. I'm not the
Yeah.
right fit for them.
Yeah.
And I get to connect with people of my same, thought process and
Right.
cadence
Yeah.
and energy.
Okay.
And with the success I've had in building a lot of go-to-market teams for companies, I just found I loved it and kept doing it. And I built a large company many years ago with my ex-husband, and we ended up with 45 employees,
Oh,
in
wow.
building go-to-market team. Yeah. Yeah, we suffered during the dot-com meltdown, but that's okay. And it was just so much fun to build teams and to sit and be out working with my whole team and letting them hear what it was like, and just connecting with people. What I have learned as I've done work with you and others
Mhm.
prior to even knowing you is, just connecting deeper internally, allowing me to connect with people at a deeper, more personal level. And that has made my work even more fun, if that makes sense.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. Okay, well now I've kind of I connected the dots now, me knowing you obviously personally, being obviously friends with you, but there are some pieces that I didn't completely know. That's how all the dots connected. Got it.
Mhm. Yeah,
Very good. I'm
yeah.
not so sure I knew about the 45 employees. It's a lot. That's big.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a fun adventure.
Yeah,
But I have, resources and a team now. I
yeah,
prefer to be able to focus more with my clients.
yeah.
So I enjoy not having a huge team. And I
Mhm.
have purposely chosen not to have huge teams again.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's your business model. And how long have you had your own company?
This one is 20, this one's 20 years. The other one was a number of years.
Okay, 20 years.
Yeah. Yeah. So
So,
just a tremendous amount of change. I mean, one thing that's constant just in the world is change.
mhm.
And technology, you cannot survive
Yeah,
if you don't roll with the change.
yeah,
This industry, or at least in high tech that I'm in,
mhm,
focus forces you to change. You
yeah,
have to adapt with the change,
mhm,
or you won't make it,
yeah,
bottom line. And can be a high pressure environment,
mhm,
because it's go, 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 and it can be a dog eat dog world. And so I have really, over the years, differentiated myself to be more almost taking a PR agency term and an ad agency term, more boutique focused,
got it.
which
Yeah,
is like, no, this is what I focus on, and this is what I'm very good at. And not a lot of people really focus the way that I do.
yeah,
And my work is really, we demand, in a way of partnering with our clients. We need this time with you. Demand sounds like a hard word, but in order for us to have a successful partnership, we insist that we have this time to start together.
mhm,
And during that time, it's also that where the intuition does come in, Marla, of
mhm,
you learn about this person, Bob, Margie, whatever.
mhm,
What are they talking about? Listening to what they have to
yeah,
say, because it's telling me, behind the words, if you will, a little bit
mhm,
about them,
yeah,
and how they're going to respond, and what piques their interest and catches their interest. And that, is kind of like diving in with an intuitive piece, kind of nudging.
you have to. I mean, you're in the people business. I mean, you're in the development, talent development, if you will, so many
Yes.
different terms you can use for this. But your products are people.
Yes.
Your products are people. You're serving. So that intuitive need, right? And being able to literally listen to what's not being said.
Yes.
And I know that's one of your,
For-
high skills and genius on talents, as we discovered in your coaching. Yeah. I mean,
Exactly. You're spot on, because it's the not being said, and the actions will always tell us more.
yeah,
And it's that instinctive, I just know,
yeah,
you
that's right.
know. And people with my clients, and most of my clients are clients being the hiring leaders, the companies,
Mhm.
multiple repeats, years after years after years, and they might raise their eyebrow when they don't know me at the beginning. But
Mm,
when I tell them, no, trust me, I know this.
mm.
Okay, after they see it one or two times, they're like, okay, she got it. I don't know how she knows that this isn't going to work out or it's
Yeah,
good,
yep,
but it's that inner knowing.
yeah. Well, as you were saying, you're a corporate matchmaker. Is that what you?
Yeah, that's a good way to describe it.
But it's true. I mean, it's, whether you're in the relationship, business and you're connecting people for love relationships, or you're connecting people for the right job fit. It's again, it's the human, what do you call that? There's a name for, I don't remember what it was called, but anyway,
Yeah,
your product is the human piece too. So you need
yeah,
to have the skill set. So let's talk about, and we're going to end up, kind of merging into you using the intuition more, and what it's like to be kind of between the blend of the masculine and feminine. But let's start talking about, what brings you the most joy in your business, like what you do day to day.
yeah.
So,
Um,
yeah.
you know what? The most joy is when a hiring leader's like, I trust you. If you say I should talk to them,
Mhm.
I'll talk with them.
Mhm.
If you just like you're saying that they're saying this and you believe them or whatever, I trust you. Or when the candidate themselves, because I'm really think of me as in many ways I play different roles, as I'm a broker, like think of a real estate broker. I'm a
Mhm.
marketing person because I'm marketing the opportunity and the company. I'm also a salesperson,
Yeah.
and I'm also a therapist, because changing jobs is one of the most stressful things in people's lives, right? And most of the people that I deal with are not actively looking. To be clear and specific, what that means is we
Mm,
contact them to tell them about an opportunity, to
right.
see if they'd be willing to learn, to have a conversation. And I always tell them, I didn't ask you to quit your job. I just asked you to have a conversation.
Yeah.
And the joy is when I could almost see the light bulbs going off in their head, like, wow, this is cool technology. Wow, I really like this leader. And we all come together and I call it a professional marriage.
Right.
And, I, I love that. Like when everyone's happy and appreciating
Mhm.
the experience and how they've been treated and the environment of the client. And one of the things that is highly important to me is a culture, as much as I'm aware of,
Mm,
I don't always know everything, but I try very hard, is a culture that values their employees and helps them be set up for success,
nice.
right?
Yeah.
And treats people well. I do have kind of a no a-hole role, sorry to say that. Um, and it's so it brings me so much joy to see, like, it's a perfect match. All right, we just hired and filled, that role, and then let's go to another one. And then when I ask a leader, to
Mhm.
client, like, hey, what can I do better? What's your feedback? It's like, you're perfect. Thank you. I'm like, okay, perfect is a big bar. I appreciate the feedback. Like, what can I do better?
Yeah.
But that's my own internal striving, which circles back to one of the things you said early on is, it is a very much masculine driven
Mhm.
business. When
Mhm.
I had a staff years ago of such a large 45 people, the women were much more successful in the company because we have that intuition.
Mm.
And I see it over and over again.
Mm.
The intuition and the ability, we just know, I can instinctually know this person is they're authentic and true in what they're telling me. They have behaved that way. And I want to give them an offer from
Right.
my client, right? But there's times where I'm like, no,
Mm-mm.
I don't think so. And that's an example
Mm.
of the intuition coming in. Just it becomes part of the art of what this business is. And there's just so much joy in all that because I'm relying on the intuition without honestly thinking about it at
Of course.
times.
Yes.
Part of it. But I can't imagine Marla doing this work without having that piece.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, so you bring up a good point about intuition, and when you said I don't think about it, it's supposed to come natural, and it's not supposed to come from here,
Yeah.
right? In other words, I'm validating what you said is the word that I was looking for a few minutes ago was human capital, right?
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
that's exactly what you're working with.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, the skill that is so vital again is the intuition. And it does need to be there naturally, which is what it is. It's natural and it's always from the neck down. It's part of the body, it's not part of the brain.
Yeah.
So in you're kind of a master at that because you've been doing it for so long. So yeah, I mean, that's one of your top skills.
Thank you. It becomes second, just kind of, it's
Yeah,
like my arm, an extension of my arm
that's
in
right.
my business.
That's right. Yeah. Especially the fact that your product, if you will, it's human capital. It's people.
Right.
And you're matching and so forth. So give an example, and obviously, anonymously, give an example of, share a story.
Mhm.
I'm sure you have gazillion of these. But
Mhm.
when you again use that intuition, did what you do best about this particular, client, and being able to obviously find the right match, and what happened with their life and so forth.
Okay. Let
Yeah.
me try to
Yeah.
boil it down. I can probably kind of give you a couple. But let me try to be clear.
Mm-hmm.
There have been situations on the client side. Again, clients are the companies that are paying me.
Okay.
Okay. And I'm selective no matter what the market is. It's been a difficult market in tech the past couple of years, unlike anything I've seen actually.
Mm.
I am very selective on who I will work with. And I mean, there's a couple different examples. I can't reference all the names, but I'm just thinking of certain companies that I've interviewed with, as clients, met with as prospective clients is what I should say.
Mm-hmm.
And with those people, if I have passed, honestly, on working with them, Marla, if I felt it sounds new agey, but if I felt the energy was off,
Yeah, of course. The vibe.
and it was more of you are here to serve me, like, oh, you're just a resume thrower. No, I'm not. We won't work together this
Good.
way. This is how we work. I don't care that you honestly, I've said and had to walk away from potential clients where it's like, we just want paper. You know what? That's wonderful. Good for you. Have a resource for that.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
you could hire anyone to do that. You could honestly probably hire a monkey to do it, but I'm not that. That
good,
doesn't add value.
correct.
And I walked away. Just, we don't have anything to talk about. When it's like, oh, we'll just hire whoever. This is not a good match.
Mhm.
When the bottom line, and another final example on that perspective would be, I focus on early stage startups. We've referenced that. And traditionally taking someone, let's say from a sales role, into an early stage company, and someone who's been a seller in a very large established tech company, but they don't know what it's like to sell for a name that no one knows. No
Oh,
one knows this technology. They don't know how to operate in an environment with very little resources. And if I have a client that's like, oh, they're going to fit in, it's like, no, they won't. And let me tell you why. And intuitively, when I've seen them go ahead and do those hires, it's not worked out.
uh-huh.
And I had a situation with someone who's still a client early on. And I said, I know what you need. I'm working with them. Okay, it took a couple months for him to come back to me and go, yeah, you're right. It's like, yeah, this isn't about proving anyone right. It's just, I know what you need. And
Yeah,
it was intuition of, this is what fits in this environment.
got it.
And hopefully that helps from that like client perspective.
Mm-hmm.
On the candidate perspective, switching a job in tech, people switch jobs often. In
Mm-hmm.
sales, I'm not looking for someone who switches jobs every year because that doesn't tell me there's a commitment there.
Right.
Um, More Gen Zs are switching jobs, much more frequently than the others. But, I've just had situations with people where there's something in conversations, Marla, that I just know they're telling me they want to be here, but they're showing up in different ways that I will just say, no. I'll say to my client, no,
Yeah,
because we lose time,
yeah, of
right?
course.
We lose time, and we don't ever want to. I don't think any of us in our life want to square a peg round hole
Yeah, of course.
with our work, our friendships, etc. And,
Mm,
and maybe that helps, but a lot of that was just intuition, like, something tells me Sally is just not into this.
yeah.
She's shopping around to see the best offer. And I guide my clients not to do that. Let's save time and move on. And
Mhm.
she
Okay.
has a right to do it,
Yep.
but I don't want to play that game.
Okay. No, that all makes sense. What was it, kind of in short, when you mentioned it's probably been one of the more difficult years in technology?
Yeah, a couple years.
Is
Mhm.
that because of COVID?
COVID was crazy. And so what I mean by that, and I've done this and I've written meltdowns.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure I'd seen anything like that in a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And what I mean by that is, particularly with a lot of focus in cybersecurity and networking and emerging,
Mm-hmm.
everyone was hiring so fast they couldn't find people. They couldn't, and people had they were interviewing with multiple companies, which it was so fascinating. It was, when people sometimes do get in this, oh, well, I can get this much money here, I can get that much money there. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
no, that was fascinating to think about, right? With COVID, like people are like, hey, we're at home, what are we going to do? But in my business, a lot of people working with companies sell technology that companies needed to help support the remote workers.
Gotcha.
So, so think of like Zoom. If we look back at Zoom, none of us were Zooming at the degree that we are now prior to COVID.
Mm-hmm.
We were doing Zoom somewhat, but everyone then embraced Zoom and they grew significantly.
Right.
as a result. That's an example. And then the supply chain started to impact, businesses' revenue. Most of my clients is, their software, so that's not an issue. But if they're waiting for hardware in order for their client that just bought the technology to run it, that's an issue. And things started to slow down and more caution on spending. Most of my clients, customers think very large financial companies, think the federal government, very large corporations. It's large businesses. It's not small, medium businesses,
Mhm.
if that made sense.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Okay. No,
Yeah.
it was good to kind of get a feel of the landscape for you in the last, several years, because
Yeah.
obviously every industry was impacted somehow.
Yeah. And I don't know the answer on why it's still so severely impacted right now. It is. There are companies hiring. There are a lot of people that do what I do who haven't worked in well over a year,
Hmm,
and well-skilled people. And that I haven't seen before.
before, yeah. Hmm,
I don't have the answer on that one.
yeah, of course. Don't have your crystal ball.
I don't.
On that one.
No.
So, okay, talk to me, and we're kind of still a little bit in the joy, but in the intuition, but you use the word raving fan.
Yeah.
You've shared this with me in our own, Zoom private calls and so forth, but you definitely, mention that here. You say you're wise about making a lasting impact, creating raving fans, right? And in building those thriving teams and so forth. So tell us, what is your definition of a raving fan?
Mm. Customer service is a huge thing to me. And I
Mhm.
remember when Nordstrom customer service was amazing
Oh,
way back when.
yeah.
And when I read Raving Fans, it was like, this is it. And this was probably 20 years ago. And what that means to me is my clients love me. And this is both sides. And that means the hiring leaders love me. They're like taking me with them when they leave and go to a new project. Like, I'll do whatever for you. I'm available. I'll partner with you. If you tell me I'm out of line, then I'll step in line.
Mhm.
Like, she gets the job done. A raving fan. Then, I have an example with one of my clients now is they do awards at their sales kickoff. This is normal. And I received an award last year for not best. I wasn't part of the sales team because I'm not out selling, right?
Sure.
I'm selling, but it's different. And they gave me an award for all the work that I did for them
Oh,
team,
no.
which was wonderful. It
Yeah,
was sweet. I appreciate the acknowledgement, the
of
appreciation.
course.
And raving fans from the candidates, that's the other side, who are like, wow, thank you. You know what? You've treated me kindly, you've communicated with me.
Mhm,
What I have found on that, even more so these days, because there's been a shift in our culture lately
mhm.
where people aren't even circling back with people. And there's, ghosting. That if people are single out there, they've certainly heard it and unfortunately probably have experienced it. And if anyone's listening that's interviewed or sent their resume, and sometimes you're ghosted, and it's not a nice term. And it's probably, hey, as we're approaching Halloween, here we are.
Oh,
And that simply means, and it's tragic that it's happening. It's not very kind. That simply means people have gone through an interview process and then they hear nothing.
oh, gotcha.
And they spend their time and their emotions are up and they're excited.
Oh,
And these are human beings. And so my
mhm,
belief on that, is when I have candidates who've given me their time and they've invested, and they've like, you've just made this great experience, whether they got the job or not.
mhm.
You know what? I see them as a human.
Yeah.
and they ought to be treated well. And I actually had someone I hired not that long ago who actually went to our leader in sales and it's like, she's part of the reason why I'm here. And that's happened several times. And that is an example of a raving fan.
Right.
Like, whatever you say, we'll help
Well,
you. We love the work you've done. It's like, thank you. But that's earned over time.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, and every, obviously, in this case, being an entrepreneur, I mean, that's what we all strive for. Is that
Yeah.
leaving fans and they stay with you as a client for a while, they refer you. I mean, it's all of that. So,
Well, exactly, because I've had many clients that have worked with me at a couple different companies. Many of them were impacted by the way the economy is, but I've worked with them over and over and over again.
mhm,
And I'm like, okay, that's feedback of I'm listening and I'm doing my job,
mhm,
which is important. And that brings me joy
there you go.
as well.
It all fits with the theme.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you've given some obviously great examples about, how you use your intuition and how it's absolutely a necessary skill in what you do. When we worked together this year, you were in the cohort, right? The create cohort, and then you were in the momentum. How not only did it help you with your intuition and deepen it and strengthen it, and I think it was more on the personal side than it was
Yes.
the business side,
Right.
right? And then the whole masculine, feminine, right, principle, and who wants to continue to remember the being, not just the doing, right?
Yeah.
Kind of speaks to that. I mean, being in the programs, the two programs, I mean, how did it serve you? What
The
changed?
programs were wonderful because the intuition comes to me intuitively, naturally at work through work.
Yeah.
It's just part of I do call it the art
Mhm,
of what I do. And on the not work mode,
mhm,
part of it and doing the work with you, was just a further work is I shift out of my doing mode, which is my work mode, and some of the work with you has just helped me realize, okay, shift out. You're being, you are a human being. And
mm,
you helped me on so many different levels, but that one of the things that's coming up is get quiet
mm,
and listen to
mm,
those little nigglings
mm,
because it's it's one thing when it's work. Again, it's discuss that. But when it's outside of work, I think the biggest thing was from you. I embodied this and took it was, you know what, just get quiet, find the time, find the space away and listen to these little messages coming from wherever.
mhm,
Wherever they may be coming from,
mm,
and recognize these little messages. And I'm kind of thinking being outside and there's
mm.
a message coming, there's a hummingbird, you know, example.
Yeah.
And I think you really helped me just ground and remember that. And I always know that I need to be brought back to center on that
Mhm,
because my nature, I'm not alone in this, but my nature is, oh, it's easy and safe to be in the doing. I can do that easy. That brings the key word back is do,
mhm,
right? And one of the things that I feel that you help me is just to pause and take that breath. And I'm not sure you ever really said that, but it's, one of the things that's coming up is just embrace being a human being and who am I? Who do I want to be?
mhm,
How is this impacting me? What is the energy that I'm putting out? What's the energy I'm taking in?
mhm,
What
mhm,
is around me? You know, that's one thing in work, that's fine. Um, but I just think of you when I think of like outside of work and that energy and what is that, and how is that impacting?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, of course it does. And what I find interesting, just from my perspective, and obviously coaching women, entrepreneurs, is that you were probably one of the first women that had the intuition at work, but not necessarily integrated into her personal life.
Bingo.
It was always the opposite.
Yeah.
It was always they were great in their family's life and in their personal life with intuition, but man, they have a challenge learning how to use it at work.
Yeah.
And it was so refreshing to work with you in that aspect, because like now she's got it down, man. It's all part of what she has to do for her job and so forth and all that, or for your business. So yeah, I mean, personal wise, give an example, just a simple, quick example of how, becoming more integrated, more conscious, if you will, of the intuition that you already had, right? But how you applied it to your personal life.
Well, I'll try to be succinct on that. And you really have helped me kind of stop
Mhm,
and pay attention to those nudgings. And it could be simple things with the dog or with friends.
mhm,
If I hear like a nudging that I need to reach out to a friend
mhm.
because I slowed down long enough to pay attention to that.
Got it.
I did. Um, Meaning I will. Um, it seems like there's been so many, so I'll try to give some. There's been
Well, crazy.
examples of like I have had body intuition, if that makes sense. Like my
Yeah.
body will tell me, like, okay, you're pushing too hard here.
Mhm,
Although I don't always listen on that when I'm working out. Um, but it's an example, and working with you even helped me see it more is when I do certain workouts or stretches, maybe yoga or Pilates, and if I'm following a program, Marla, I can be doing something in my body and working with you help me see it even more.
mhm.
I'm already ready to move to the next move right as they're doing it. I'm already going there. Like my body's like, I'm done here. I'm going to that next move. We got to shift sides now. And it's so fascinating. I'm like, oh, you help me see that more and more, if that makes sense.
Yeah, so it's like
Right?
a flow. Is that you were in the flow, you were able to like, okay, listen to my body. What's the next pose or the
Yeah.
next stretch or
Yeah.
whatever it is that you were
And,
doing?
and I'll make a shift and I'll be there. If
Yeah.
I have an instructor here in my gym,
Mhm.
that person will be, okay, we're going to shift. Or you already moved. You're already there.
You're already there. Yeah.
Or I'm doing it with whatever training program on TV.
Mhm.
And I mean, you certainly have helped on that, really, because
Yeah.
it's all so much intuition and it's interconnectedness, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and this all it's all related. All, you connect the dots here when you say, you helped me, quiet down and listen.
Mhm.
Under the masculine feminine, what you were working on was being a more in the feminine, because you're a very, you're a driven woman, you're driven business entrepreneur. And it was hard for you, like it is for almost every woman I know and have coached, to slow down and stop being in work mode.
Amen.
Right?
Amen. And you've helped, and I'm a constant reminder of this, right? I have to continually remind myself, like, shift, transition out of work
Yeah.
mode,
Yep.
into this,
Yep.
whatever this is. It's like you're in conversations that aren't work. Sometimes I need like a hallway, so to speak. Like, imagine a hallway and then, oh,
Yeah.
okay, now I'm shifting.
Yeah.
And I mean, the intuition could be like, you just are going to and sit outside in the sun for 10 minutes.
Mhm.
And all of a sudden that was a little nudging and you feel better, or I feel better.
Yeah. Well, and one of the examples too that you gave me in a few of the sessions, and again, it was around the masculine feminine mode and teaching yourself it's okay to not work.
Yeah.
It's okay to slow down. And that was you physically having to, if you were to do something for yourself personally, if it was on the computer or reading, you would have to take yourself out of your office,
Yes.
right, and go into, I think it was your living room, so
Yes.
that you could literally focus yourself on, okay, I'm not in work mode. I'm allowing myself to be in my personal mode, my feminine, if you will, leaning back, being in creative mode, imagination, whatever it was you were doing. But you had to physically move yourself out of the office.
I do. And sometimes I'll get a little nudging like, nope, you need to step outside,
Yeah.
go walk for a little bit,
Mhm.
come back. And that's then whatever I may have been searching for
Yeah.
in my head comes to me.
Yeah.
I don't know if that
Oh,
helped you.
that's it.
Yeah.
Totally. That's totally it. That. Yeah, it's an ongoing, thing for us women, is really, again, learning that the blend of masculine, feminine, and it's crucial. And I'm so pleased to constantly hear this out there. It's more prevalent now than ever. It's like every time I turn on a YouTube, video of a woman that's talking about helping women in business, she's talking about the masculine, feminine. My current mentor, the manifesting, Kathleen, it's all in her stuff is about the masculine, feminine, and I'm more into my feminine, and I used to be in my career in the masculine. So it's really, I love the fact that it's now part of our language today. It's part of our consciousness, where
Yeah.
before, obviously, it wasn't. It was all the burnout in the masculine and not being able to balance.
Yes. Perfect. Beautifully said. And I really try to pay attention, Marla, to say to myself, how does this feel?
Yep.
How does this feel?
Yeah.
Like,
Yep.
oh, that feels wonderful.
Mhm.
Okay, then that's the right thing. And the intuition could be as simple. We can all shake our heads and go, yes, I know there's this parking spot around that corner. I mean, just for the simple things, it's like it's right there,
Yeah.
but I try not to think of it that way. I look at it as other things, but
Well, but something as simple as getting a parking space. I every single time, I just did it last night. Every time I, drive into a parking lot that's pretty full, I'll go, okay, parking karma, parking karma. I like keep saying that. And literally within minutes, I have a parking space.
yeah,
It's just,
it's all around. And it could be that intuition with,
yep.
I know this car's gonna do this. Watch it. Don't ignore it, because every time my intuition,
Yep.
and I'm like, this car's going to do this and this isn't going to be good if I'm not paying attention. And they've done just that.
Yep. Yep. That's intuition. That's
I
it.
know. I love it.
So, okay. So kind of in wrapping this up, give the listeners just some key advice. Can you pull something out of your beautiful treasure trove of wisdom? And what would you tell the creatives that are listening?
You know, and this is a lesson that I've learned, and I'm a work in progress all the time. I like to think all of us are.
We all are.
Um,
Yeah.
you know what? Get yourself quiet times.
Oh,
You can do it. Yes, you may have children, and yet you still can.
yeah.
You can go and find 10 minutes, 15 minutes, And even if you're, you know, if you can't get outside and just have the quiet time and do some different breathing exercises to help you and then center. If you can get outside, all the better.
Yeah.
That's, probably the biggest thing. And for me, it's getting outside. I appreciate the sun
Mhm,
and listening to those nigglings that are coming and flowing through.
mhm,
It's just being a gratitude for what's there. And I find when I do that, I'm in gratitude, I'm
mhm.
finding more intuition flowing, ideas are popping at times too.
Yeah.
When on that, I would say just embrace the gift that each day is, because every single day that we have is a gift.
That's
And
right.
we all have our days that are like, okay, that was a really hard day.
Mm,
You know what? You can do hard things. You
mm,
know what? You can, and it's building character.
mm.
And importantly, we get to remember we're human beings on this journey,
Yeah.
an adventure of life. And when we feel overwhelmed and stressed and lacking joy, love, laughter, gratitude, stop. Go, we'll wait, take deep breaths, and go find those again.
Mm, yeah. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Well said, my dear.
Thank
Love that.
you.
Okay, where can everyone get in touch with you?
So this is simple.
Yeah. Mhm,
Dinna,
mhm,
Dinna at dinna.io.
mhm. Okay.
And that is a great way to find me.
And what
Or,
about LinkedIn?
yeah, they can find me there. So
Yeah.
my first name, Dinna, and the last name, V as in Victor, Oges. You'll find me on LinkedIn there as
Cool.
well.
And I'll put that in the show notes to make it easy
Wonderful.
to find you. Yeah. All right, good. So obviously you're on LinkedIn. And is there anything, I'm sure there's plenty because I love your website and I've obviously read through it. Is there anything for your startups that, that's seeking to build obviously a sales team that they can go to on your website and read something on there? Maybe they don't know you yet.
I know. It's so funny you asked because we're working on adding some new stuff right now.
Okay.
I think the important thing is we try to inform people of the cost of the wrong hire,
Mm,
which can be easy 3 times one salary. It could,
phew,
and when you add all the interviewer time, it could cost, based on, I'm talking about the level, the people I hire, this could cost $800,000. The lost, yeah. And so we're
that's
working on
huge.
showing that. Yeah, exactly.
It's one of your biggest, in the ideal client meaning, it's one of the biggest pain points.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like most companies come to me frantic. Oh, we gotta hurry, hurry, hurry. And it's like, I understand. We can't cut corners,
Yep.
and we're here to help you get as close to possible as getting it right.
Good.
You don't just throw someone in. So we're working on that right
So
now.
that content you're working on right now about, the impact of hiring the wrong person.
Yeah, on the
Yeah.
website they can learn a little bit more about just how we work and so forth. So thank you.
Okay, yeah, you're welcome. Wonderful. Well, okay. Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah. And thank you for everything that you share with all of us and
Mhm.
the wonderful wisdoms, which has just been a gift to receive. So
Thank you.
thank you for that.
Yeah, I appreciate that. All right, everyone. So hopefully this was an interesting perspective from obviously the tech industry and then the recruiting industry. And hopefully it landed, with you well and inspired you to work more often from your intuition and trust it, right, that it actually is there again for you in your business, right? I absolutely, and you hear this all the time, I aspire for you to really, gosh, listen to that intuition, develop it at work, right? As I said, Dinna tends to be an exception to the rule. Most of my women that I've, coached is they've got it down personally, but boy, they're trying to really, how do I, in the midst of all that doing and, trying to be in the kind of hustle mode, if you will, which I'm not a big advocate of, how do you listen to your intuition? Well, it's kind of the solution to everything, and that is slow down. Slow down and listen, right? Which is what Dinna was really sharing a lot of. So, okay, everyone, always here for you. Let me know how I can serve you, support you. There's links in the show notes, and be well and be blessed. Till next episode. Take care. Bye-bye. Hey, thanks for listening. You can find more entrepreneurial stories and resources at marladiane.com. And while you're there, enjoy my free downloads to up-level your business and your life. And Instagram. It's my favorite place to hang out. Let's connect there. If you received inspiration from the episode, I'd sure appreciate a 5-star review on Apple and Spotify. Until next episode, take care.